Hello there, everyone. Sorry, I'm a few minutes behind schedule. I was having a technical difficulty with the TV in my studio not wanting to show me what I need to see, and so I have to pivot, and hopefully I'm going to do this standing up so I can see your comments if they come through, and make sure everything's in frame and all that kind of good stuff that I would normally be checking on via Chromecast, but my Chromecast did not want to work tonight. So, but that's neither here nor there. How is everybody doing this fine Monday night? Hope you all had a good weekend, and if you're in my area, hope you stayed clear of all that wildfire smoke that we are now getting down from Canada, which is kind of hindering some of our outdoor activity, but we were still able to get a boat ride in over the weekend, so that was good news. And hopefully that'll stay clear again for a little while. But all right, so as I had stated, hi Tina, good to see you tonight. I had stated earlier in the prep for this that I got the inspiration for this card from one of you. And as you're going through, if you recognize it, shout out and say, hey, that's my card. But I will, of course, reveal it at the end. All right, so on camera tonight, I'm going to use the Botanical Expressions stamp set. This one is the one that pairs with the die that does that really cool leaf pattern across part of it. But I'm just going to be using the phrases tonight. I'm going to use that "you bring so much joy to my life." So what we need to have on hand is a neutral piece. Hi, Carla. That is 5.5 by 8.5, and that should be scored at 4 1/4. And then some kind of shape that is 1.5 to 2 inches. I said in area, so it doesn't have to be perfectly round or perfectly square. That's about the surface area you want to cover. I did a die cut from Nested Essentials for my words. And then I said to get a piece of Designer Series paper that's 2 1/4 by 5.5. And I have this cute little Secret Sea polka dot one that comes from Violet Dreams. Then a piece of cardstock that's 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Mine is also Secret Sea to match my DSP there. Then I grabbed some more of that Violet Dreams paper for my 4 pieces. You want 4 pieces that are 1.5 by 1.5 square. And then they're going to get layered on some more cardstock. So that is what this is here. This is Fresh Freesia, which goes with the purple that's in my Violet Blooms, or Violet Dreams, sorry, DSP, so that those are going to get layered onto there. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to just scooch a little closer. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my phrase so that that is done and waiting for me. And again, I took that die cut piece from Nested Essentials. And I'm going to go ahead and do my "you bring so much joy to my life." There we go. And then set that aside, because that is all the stamping that we have to do tonight. It's whatever you decided to put on whatever shape you've made or brought tonight. That's all you need to do. So then we can go ahead and start our assembly. So we are going to take your favorite adhesive, and we're going to put those 4 pieces of DSP onto those 4 pieces of cardstock. And it should be layering with just a thin border around all the sides, like so. So we're going to do that 4 times. So again, once this has posted and I've shared like the pictures in the album and such, I would love to see what you guys have made. So take a little snapshot of it, upload it to the comments, either of the album or of the supply list for this, because the video will eventually disappear. But it's always over on my YouTube channel. And if you can't, if you're not subscribed to that yet, I believe I have a link to it on my page somewhere, so you can hop there and check it out. And that way you'll get all of those past videos that you can always come back to anytime you like. All right. We are going to take our card base, fold it on that 4 1/4 score line. Whoops. Helps if we match up our corners a little bit better than that. There we go. And then go ahead and give that a good burnish with your bone folder, so you have a nice crisp edge. I'm going to take that piece of Designer Series paper, and it's going to go down the middle of the front. This is the top of my card. I'm going to line this up closest to me because that visually makes sense for me, and then I'll turn it around in a second. So you want to have fairly even space left and right. And we're going to go ahead and plop that down onto there. And then if you have any that's stuck over the edge a little bit, you can trim that off, because, you know, you might cut things. It says 5.5, but you might have cut them slightly off of each other. It happens all the time. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining me tonight. All right. Now you're going to take that piece of cardstock that we had, and these 4 squares are going to layer inside of there with a border, even border, kind of all the way around. And if you happen to have it so that it kind of lines up. That's cool. My DSP happened to line up with itself as I was cutting it. So I'm going to leave them kind of like that. I'm going to lay them on there first and then go back in with my adhesive, because then I can kind of see where I wanted them to be, and I don't have to worry about I don't have to keep peeling them up and repositioning them as I go through, because I decided like, oops, that one's a little too close to that edge or something to that effect. So go ahead and grab your adhesive that you're using for that and get those down onto that square. All right, anybody recognizing this layout yet? If you are, chime in. Don't see any comments about that yet. All right, so we've got our piece here. Now I am going to, of course, adhere everything down flat to start. You can use any dimensioning you want to do at any point, layering these things up at all. If you wanted to, you could pop this off a little bit off the card base here, or else pop up this piece when we eventually put it on. So I'm going to give you a couple options. You can kind of have it a little more towards the top, and then you can have your phrase kind of hang out down here. You could center it a little bit more, and you could also even consider centering then your phrase. So it kind of see how you feel about what that looks like based on the size of the shape that you have that has your phrase on it. Maybe it does look better centered, or maybe you want more of that DSP to show. So you're gonna go more towards the top with it and then not cover up quite as much with your phrase. That's all, again, what I like to call cook's choice, or maybe I guess we should say stamper's choice. I put this on just a little bit crooked. I'm gonna pull it over a tiny bit. There we go. So stamper's choice. You decide what it looks like for you and how you like it to be. And I'm just gonna put adhesive on the top of this because it's gonna hang down off this corner here, like so. All right, so that is the base of our layout for tonight. And again, if anybody recognizes this layout, shout it out, because I borrowed it from one of you guys. Let me show you a couple other samples that I have made with this. This one here, I took the Garden Poetry DSP. This piece here has crushed curry and pumpkin pie in it. So I have those as the colors that I'm using here in the background. And then I got my phrase from Phrases and Frames. Or no, I'm sorry, from Reason to Celebrate. I looked at the wrong supply list there. And then I used my Spotlight on Nature dies to do my little circle. So yeah, right, Carla? What a great layout for little pieces of this. Now this one here, I flipped into a landscape layout instead of the portrait. So I have my my pieces of DSP here come from Brushed with Beauty. Hi Jan, thanks for joining me tonight. Brushed with Beauty. There we go. My neutral here is Basic Beige. I use that as the background for this one here. And I've got Petal Pink and Mossy Meadow as some of my other colors that are going in there. And then for my phrase, I used Everyday Arches to have this shape here. And that phrase comes from Phrases and Frames. Okay, so just a little bit of a twist on, you know, we started out with a vertical layout. Here it is horizontally so that you can see what that would look like. Get those guys off camera a little bit. All right, this one here I grabbed from Beautiful Gallery, and I changed it up just a little bit. I already had this piece here that was 2 inches wide, and since we needed 2 1/4, I just added a couple of tiny strips of Secrecy to the side of it to create those little borders around that piece right there. I used Banner Sayings and my Stylish Shapes dies, and you can see I moved this one centered, and I added my phrase to the middle. I grabbed a couple dewdrop embellishments in that Secret Sea color, and so that one is a little bit different as far as like where that got placed. And then what I used, again, I used this into the center. And for this neutral, I grabbed Gray Granite because it kind of felt like a good color to go along with the cloud cover and the Secret Sea. The white I thought was going to be too stark, and I really wanted this to feel softer. So I used Smoky Slate. I used Smoky Slate as my neutral here. Thanks, Carla. I thought it was pretty too. And my last one here, I jumped to my Cute as a Bug, which is still hanging around. No bugs actually on this card. I used one of the pieces of DSP that has some of the berries, and I used my Nested Essentials dies again for the little banner shape, that normally you might see it, you know, kind of like this as a banner, but I thought it would be kind of fun to set on its side. And I used Blackberry Bliss and Mossy Meadow with Vanilla as my neutral color for this one. All right, so let's go back to the beginning of the one that we just created on camera together. My stepped up version isn't too different. You'll see I have it still pretty much in the same position. I added a few pieces of fresh freesia cardstock to the side of my dotted DSP. Changed my phrase up a little bit for this, but it's the same shape. And then that Violet Dreams DSP has a piece in it that has, you actually get 2 sheets of each one. So there's 2 different sheets, and they have all these already printed and punchable, meaning they're already kind of cut out, you just have to punch them out, flowers and leaves and all kinds of things. So I grabbed a couple of those and I used them to embellish my phrase right there. All right, so I see nobody chimed in yet to claim their layout. So Tina, this was your swap from a month or so ago in a monthly swap that we participate in together. So Tina Rice, this is the where I stole this layout from. So you can see pretty similar where we had the 4 squares over the DSP. The DSP on this one I know is still in the store. It's lovely and beautiful, but I couldn't find the set or that shape anymore. So I have a feeling those pieces are already gone from the online catalog. But I thought this layout was really super fun. I love the colors she used in here. I'm going to guess maybe like a flirty flamingo and a petal pink along with that pop of green, which might be old olive. I thought this one was super pretty. And I thought this was a really fun way to use up some smaller scraps. Now I know we went to 1.5. You could probably pare this down as well if you had 1-inch strips, or increase it to 2 inches and just change your layout, or change your borders, change your sizes. You could really use any size square. Or if you have like the Stylish Shapes has die cuts, we could have die cut 4 squares. And then, so you didn't recognize it right away, Tina, but you're like, oh, that looks a little familiar. So thank you for this swap and for the inspiration. I thought this one was really super cool. So again, here's the ones that are using the Violet Dreams Designer Series paper. Here's my Cute as a Bug again. And then Beautiful Gallery, the Brushed with Beauty, and lastly, the Garden Poetry. So thanks you all. Thanks you all. Thank you all for joining me tonight on this lovely Monday, and I hope to see you all again next week Monday. And again, if you stamped along with me tonight, or you're creating later, please share what you did. Everybody would love to see your creation. So just snap a photo and put it in the comments and show us what you made. All right, have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.